Monarchs, take note. This is the place in Paris where the French Revolution dispensed with the crowns and the heads of King Louis XVI, his extravagant Queen Marie Antoinette, as well as countless other aristocrats. As the sacred home of republicanism, Paris may seem an odd place for British royals to seek exile or solace. But they did, most famously, the last time an American divorcee, true love and royal rigidity collided with each other. The Duke of Windsor, aka King Edward VIII, and Wallis Simpson lived here in exile for decades. Later, the house was rented, bizarrely one might add, by Mohammed Al Fayed, father of Dodi, boyfriend of Princess Diana, pictured here in front of a large portrait of Wallis Simpson, a liaison of outcasts, perhaps. Dodi and Diana, of course, tragically died in this tunnel in Paris. And yet Mohammed Al Fayed renewed the lease on this villa in 2016 for 50 years. No wonder we wanted to go and see him. So this sign here doesn't just say beware of the dog, it says beware of the nasty dog. Let's see if anyone's in. Allô? Il y a quelqu'un? But the life and death of British royals is only a small part of the vexed story of our mutual love-hate relationship. There is Brexit, food, and now COVID. The Kent variant prevails in France, and its British branding at this test site won't let you forget. Well, with all these events serving to define Britain, especially in the era of Brexit, where exactly do we stand? How does this change Britain? Here to discuss this, in Washington, Jonathan Capehart from the Washington Post and a host on MSNBC. And here in Paris with me is Marion van Renterghem, a journalist who writes for a number of publications. Thank you very much for coming on the programme. Let me start with you, Marion.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle, Brexit, the vaccine squabbles, it's all a bit of a mess. Where do you think that leaves brand Britain, if we can call it that?
Well, you've been quite entertaining lately, I must say, but we are used to it. And I think that we French have a sort of mixed feelings towards the Brits. And for example,
love-hate.
Yeah, love-hate. I would say friendship and love, yes. And we have also distrust and maybe bewilderment, and a little bit of fun too. And right. I think that all these feelings have a way to be expressed these days with through vaccines, through Brexit, through the royals. I think all of them have come up.
Is the image that Britain is trying to define for itself at the moment, and it's a pretty messy conversation, is that clear to you in France?
Well, you have Boris Johnson. I mean, it's very difficult for us to understand who he is and what he aims to and what he heads to. It's very difficult for us to understand that you are such a clever and brilliant country, and how did you come up to go to such a self-destructing process through Brexit. Right. We can't understand that you had such a great deal in the European Union with lots of opt-outs, and you were a lawmaker. You're now a law taker. You don't exist in the world. Your global Britain doesn't mean anything in the world with the great powers doing the law. And so it's really difficult for us to understand what you're doing.
Right. Sometimes also for us as well. Let's turn to Jonathan Capehart in Washington. Jonathan, thanks for coming back on the programme. I mean, we take the special relationship in London somewhat for granted. Has that relationship had a knock, especially with this Meghan Markle-Harry interview that we saw in recent days?
Well, as we like to say, we're cousins. The British and the Americans, we're cousins. Sometimes we're kissing cousins. Other times we're messy cousins together. We were during the presidency of Donald Trump, and you still have Prime Minister Boris Johnson. But now we have President Biden, and so now you get to be the standalone messy cousin. I don't think that between the Meghan Markle interview, Brexit, the situation with the vaccines, that brand Britain is like irreparably damaged in the United States. But I will say that the brand of the royal family it has definitely taken a hit here in the United States as a result of the interview with the Duke and Duchess.
And does that, Jonathan, affect the brand of Britain as well? Does it bleed through to the rest of the brand?
Well, I don't think so. To my mind, I think that the American people separate the royal family and what's going on with that from Great Britain overall. I think one reason for that gets to something that Meghan Markle said in her interview, and that is sort of decrying the fact that the royal family missed an incredible opportunity to send a signal to the Commonwealth that here is a biracial woman of color in the family, and the signal that sends to 2/3 of the Commonwealth, which are people of color. That, I think, is a message and a situation where Americans look at the royal family and think, what are you doing? How could you not see this coming? And I think this gets to a bigger issue here, Matt, and that is Americans. We in the United States have spent about 400 years speaking overtly and covertly, implicitly and explicitly about matters of race in this country. And I think what we're seeing now is Great Britain and the royal family in particular now having to deal with issues of race, the royal family. But I think for Britons outside of the royal family who have been dealing with issues of race on their own, this is a moment for the palace to finally catch up to the people who live around it.
Okay. All right. Let me just briefly and very finally, Marion, do you think, when you look at what's happening with our royal family in Britain, are you happy to have got rid of your royal family 200 and something years ago in 10 seconds?
In 10 seconds. Well, I love your queen. I'm a great fan of the queen. She's a pop icon now. But I wouldn't say the same for Meghan and Harry, who behave like spoiled children.
Got to leave it. I'm so sorry. Marion van Renterghem and Jonathan Capehart, thanks very much.